All right. So when you walk in, you're going to see a large tapestry when you go to the art museum. It's kind of like a fancy rug and that has art prints on it. And a lot of times they put those on walls for insulation, but in art too, so to keep the cold out. And this is just amazing artwork on like a rug called a tapestry. You're going to see Paul Revere's tankard from like the Revolutionary time. He was a silversmith. And this guy here is called the lute player. So there's his musical instrument is a lute. And it was in 1627 when this is and revised a little bit in 1628. But I want to look at the when I look at this piece of art, I kind of see he's playing and look at his eyes here, his face. I wonder who he's playing for. You're just wondering if he's playing for like a king or queen, or was it just practicing, or was it to, I don't know, somebody he really liked. But I mean, the expression on his face kind of tells you a bit about his instrument and that he really loved his music. So you might want to write a poem about him. This one here is called the shepherdess. So it's a female shepherd. And I always think it looks like little Bo Peep lost her sheep, but she's actually in charge of them. And looking at all this, look at her dress, how fancy she is. No shoes on, a hat. Um, I always think of where is she at, and what is she doing there with her sheep, um, and so this one might be too when something you might think about a poem by just looking at one element of her and describing her, maybe describing, the sheep. And this one was done in 1732. This is part of one of my favorite ones. And just looking at her eyes here and her hair and the detail, it almost looks like a photograph and her picking flowers. And oops, we'll come back to that one a little later. That's where she'll be with her grandpa. And then we have Homer and his guide. So Homer was a guy who wrote down a lot of the Greek stories, like Greek mythology, and you can tell this is his guide, and you can tell by this that he's guiding him around that he is blind, or maybe not totally blind, but he has his hard of seeing. And I did not know that about Homer, and you can see even the dog looking at him too, like barking at him. I'm just wondering where he's taking him. The guide is taking him. This one here is an orphan guides visitors to London. So a lot of times these are visitors to London, and then the orphans' jobs were to take the visitors around as like tour guides. So the orphanages would take to tell the kids, hey, you got to earn your keep here and have a job and take these tourists around and get paid for it. I thought this was a girl at first, but it's not. It's a guy, and he's like a czar, and you can see, and it's an older guy with some jewelry and some a robe and bling. So you probably look at his and think he's some kind of royalty of some sort. Another one here too. Again, these were really common around that guys really dressed up fancy, especially if you're rich. You could tell he's pretty rich. But where is he at? Where is he going to at this time? This one here, yeah, let's just see what I think it's the ark. Noah and the animals entering the ark during the flood. And here, this one here too, little dog. I didn't know what this was at first. I think it's a hedgehog he's going after. This dog playing with. I thought it was like a rock at first. He was trying to look at, but I think they say it's like a hedgehog. Now this is super cool, and these are pieces of chalk. Okay, so like chalk is a rock that's made out of shells that are uh, seashells that are crushed all together, and little microscopic things that live in the ocean, all pushed together. And they just took that and made chunks of it and put them on wire, but it looks like an asteroid field now, like falling down like that, like you're in Star Wars and you're going through an asteroid field. And here's at the museum looking at it. Some people thought it was like a paper fight. Some people thought it was like a like snow coming down heavy. So, whatever you see it is, I always looked at it as like an asteroid field, but who knows? A little different view. This one here is like you look at one on side, one person go on one side and one person goes on the other side, and it's like little cubes that go through with mirrors in it and different colors. And some people have written poems about that called a paranormal cube. Like if you're going into here, like a different world, and somebody taking a picture of somebody taking a picture of a painting. Here's a Picasso, and you can see right here. Here's the girl, like a horse or a donkey he's riding on, and look at the face. He's all red. They think that maybe because he's trying to get a date with her, bringing her flowers. But look at she has a lot of flowers, so maybe I don't know, or maybe he delivered a couple before to her. And this one here too, right away, I didn't get what it was, but then you can see the boats coming up here onto the shore. This is a Haitian print from Haiti, and they're coming right up on board in the waves. Oh, and then this one here too. I mean, some people said look like they might have been attacking at first because it looks like they're throwing things. Like these, they might have spears in their hand. They're getting the sails done, but it looks like they have arrows too. Like bow and arrows. This one here is supposed to look like it's a coastline, but it's supposed to you're supposed to be able to see like a giant sleeping there. Like here is some ears, here's his nose, here's his mouth and a head, and like in his hands and arms are holding up his head, like he's laying down looking out. Pretty cool. I hadn't seen that for a while. And again, one of my favorite ones here is this is called the end of the world. This is like the Colosseum, and here's an asteroid plummeting right into it. If you look right here, this is a snake, and the snake represents death. So this one was kind of sad in a way, but it was like if a big asteroid came down and smashed into the earth, it would cause a lot of death and because it would shoot up all the ash. And here's the cool thing about this: it is painted with ash from a volcano. So they took ash from a volcano, mixed it with paint, and smeared it on like a palette brush, and he painted with ash from an actual volcano. A little grim here, but pretty cool overall. And kind of like Pompeii, like if you're frozen into time, like if you got frozen. This one, like the scream, like there's like what noise is so bad that he's holding his hands over, or almost like say like he's laughing too. Some people said it's not a scream, it's a laugh, like stop telling me jokes. Uh, Here's some other ones. They do have some, more oil paintings realistic from the Renaissance time. So you could tell that she had money. Here, what they did is they would put her on in their neck. They would sometimes put like little fragrances in there because you didn't bathe that often. So this is like perfume in there. Sometimes because they didn't bathe that often, they would have lice, and here they'd have like little lice traps in there. They'd put like little piece of meat where the lice would go. Um, and this is Minerva, or in Greek would be Athena. So if you look at her, she's probably pretty wealthy. So yep. And so it's kind of cool, and that this is like a family portrait of her. These are called like muffs where you put your hands inside, but she had a lot of jewelry and really fancy outfits. You could tell a lot about um, how rich she was from that. And then this one here is Prince Charles Louis, with his tutor. So this is his teacher, and he's a prince, he's royal, and they would have like as individual teachers for them. Um, so yeah, this was in 1631. This one here represents the end of the world or the Civil War. Okay, and so what happened and during the Civil War, kids weren't allowed to play outside. And so it was too dangerous to go play outside. So because there was a lot of times war in your backyard. And when it was over, the kids went out and used anything. They would say old, like cage horse and buggy carriages and stage coaches and stuff like that, and just play with them and had fun. And the parents just say, "Go have fun. It's been a long time since you actually just got to enjoy yourself." So this was kind of like a time. This is the old stagecoach, but it represented the freedom after the Civil War. That's when the North battled the South. And another one of my favorites where she's picking flowers, and you can see the grandpa here. Look at the expression on his face. It's a close up of her. And these are like women who are looking at sea, waiting for the sailors to come home. This one just kind of creeps me out. A lot of people call her Evil Alice. It's not, it's just like a girl who they did like a self portrait of her with her cat. But she doesn't look all that friendly. You can see like cherry trees in the back and all this stuff. So she probably was pretty wealthy, and she had a little outfit on. But that face kind of tells me something different. And some people think she looked like Alice in Wonderland, but an evil one. And here's just like some different ones where Polish scene where they're coming back from like probably the field from working or hunting. And this one, some people call it the Lion King, a lion over there, but looks like an ocean here, looking out. So that might inspire you to write. And some other ones with boats. This is Picasso again, and he liked roosters because that symbolized Spain and the liberation they got from France, and again boating ones. And this guy, and when you go there, you're gonna see him. He looks real. He's there, and he is called the janitor. Yeah, and he's sitting there, and you can walk right up to him. And he looks so real. And so he was done in 1973, and he's so realistic. And people used to come up and touch him. You're not allowed to do that, but he's called the janitor. He's a popular one. Here's another view of him, and they do have some cool glass work and some different ones. These are kids who have visited way back when. They're in college now. Um, this one, she thought she looked like that could have been like a relative of hers, so she was trying to sketch it. Here's a crying girl, which you might have seen in Night in the Museum. And some other ones we could see faces in. This girl, my dog. Some different paintings of like a hotel. And like the elevator man, elevator nose, TV eyes, zipper mouth. Kind of fun ways to draw people. Here's Evil Alice again. Here's the other one with the snake. And here they're just like paper collages are art too, just telling a story. This is from 1964 when I was born. And Dale Chihuly is an artist's glass blower, and he did these. This one kind of looks like balloons and all that to me. This is all made out of glass, and that's Dale Chihuly. Here's some close-ups of him. Okay. And you can even see where this turns around. This is a mobile that kind of turns around like the planets. And you got some ones that look like dogs. And you even got one of my favorites right here with the dog here too. So hopefully when you go there next, or you're going to have a little bit more appreciation of some artwork. and hopefully that so you're going to choose one of these to write a poem about for the next lesson, and maybe next year in fifth grade you'll be able to actually go there again. So hope that helps.